in my opinion, with J&M. John, what's going on, man? How are you?
J&M starts for John and Mike, if you don't know.
I'm pretty sure they figured that one out.
I don't know how they could, but...
Because I've mentioned your name.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Yes.
I need a haircut. Real bad. I don't know about you. Oh. That actually... I didn't mean for that to be a joke.
That worked out. It worked out.
Wow.
It was funny. Don't worry. Hey, you're not far behind me, my friend. Just saying. Right now, you should probably leave your hair the way it is because it's covering the receding hairline that's ascending from your forehead.
Hairline.
Yes, you do.
No.
But
it's
what's the word we were using yesterday?
I
I mean, last week. What was the word?
Herpes?
No, not that one.
I don't know. Syphilis?
What was the word? It's like a legal term. We're like, it's fancy. It's smart.
Oh
shit.
I digress.
There we go. I digress.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. So today, I wanted to speak on a subject. Okay, because I saw a video. It was on the news about this church that was not listening to the stay-at-home order that we have right now in quarantine in the state of Illinois.
That's a fine.
Yeah. So it was on Channel 7, Channel 9, or whatever. I forgot what it was called. Do you remember what it was called?
The church?
Yeah, it was like Metro Praise International or something like that.
I think my cousin went there one day.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Didn't go
It's
ever
actually about
again.
2 blocks away from here. And they were on the news for basically having service without any restrictions, right? So the video showed men, women, children, literally all next to each other.
Oof.
No masks, having service, whatever. Which I don't have a problem with. But I have a problem when the government says you shouldn't do something. Right?
And,
Like, I understand you want to have church, right? But church is not essential. Okay? It's not.
Certain people it is, but
No.
I mean,
Essential is something you can't do at home. You can have church at home.
That's
There's
true.
plenty of
Yeah.
technology
People are
right
doing
now
that.
that could allow you to have church right now. The Catholics, who are the cream of the crop when it comes to Christianity, right, are not having church right now. But for some reason, the minor ones want to do this, right? So that was on the news. And then a couple days ago, my cousin, Griselle, and her daughter, Delilah, who love when I mention their name on this for some reason, they sent me a video of a guy in front of that church with a speaker and a microphone, which is fine, right? You can go out and preach all you want.
Preach the gospel.
That's your right, right?
Yeah.
Fine. But what he was doing wasn't right. Now, I showed you the video.
Yeah, I watched the video.
So would you still consider yourself a Christian? I mean, we grew up the same way for
Christian
people that don't know.
means you believe in God, then yes, I still
Okay, so
consider
let's do a
myself
little bit
Christian.
backstory first. Let's go back a minute.
Yeah.
So you and we grew up Pentecostals, right?
Straight Pentecost.
Straight Pentecostals. They're probably the most ruly ones. When you look into it, we're probably the ones that people look the worst on. Like we're like the most
church 4 days a week.
Yeah, 4 days a week. Girls couldn't wear pants back then. You couldn't have earrings. You couldn't have tattoos. You couldn't shave your head. Stuff like it was weird rules.
You could always point the girls out because in high school they were always wearing skirts. You were not allowed to wear
like
pants.
my sisters for their entire high
and then
school.
What would happen? The boys would wait by the stairs and look up the
look up the stairs.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, so we were very, with a lot of rules and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's our backstory. So we're from the same thing. I'm not a Christian anymore. I'm more of the atheist type of person now. I kind of let that go. John, I don't know. Would you say you're still a Christian, quote unquote?
Like I said, if Christian means you believe in God, yes, I am.
Okay, but you're not a churchgoer.
We're gonna fight today.
Are we?
No, we're not.
Let me go.
No,
grab,
I don't.
Let
go
me
to
grab my
church.
gun. That'll be that's later on. So you're not a churchgoer, but you're a believer. Cool.
Yeah.
No problem. So we grew up with all these rules, right? And I think we were taught we were taught very good fundamentals when it comes to religion, right?
Yeah.
I would say. And if you look at the history of the different denominations, a lot of people would say Pentecostals are very fundamental, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let's move forward. And we get to this point where I get this video. So it's a video about a guy. He's out there talking, which is fine. That's completely legal. No problem. So my cousin told me, you need to listen to this. So I looked it up because I'm like, well, if somebody's recording, it's got to be on Facebook somewhere. So I find it and I listened to the whole thing. And my mouth dropped like 6 times. And not because I'm an atheist and I don't believe in God. I actually put my Christian hat on because I grew up the same way as you, right? I did a lot. And I actually looked into the Bible and religions more after I got out.
Which is odd, but yeah.
Like I did more research more into it now that I'm not in it than I did when I was in it. So I put my hat on and I'm like, wait a minute. This guy is saying things very incorrectly, in my opinion. Shameless plug. Then I sent it to you so you can give me your opinion. So what would be your opinion?
Well,
or should we talk about what we saw in the video first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Spit on that.
I'll say a little bit, then you can say what you saw. So what I saw was a young man preaching about salvation in this time, right? He was also pinpointing certain individuals. Like he directed a lot of comments towards Governor Pritzker, right? He also went very hard on Mayor Lightfoot.
Yeah.
On her choice of partner, right? Because she's gay. He was very quick to condemn them, saying that they're gonna go to hell if they don't come to Jesus or whatever. He also went against the Muslims, made comments about Muslims. He made comments about other denominations that are teaching fake gospels, quote unquote. And he went at the Catholics, saying that Catholicism is just wrong, right? That's kind of what I picked up. What did you get? What say you?
Yeah, I mean, well, we saw what he said, and it's like, so you remember back in the old days in the NBA, right? You had hard-nosed coaches, right? You'd have to practice every day. They would ride you hard. That doesn't work nowadays, right? Absolutely not.
Sure.
I mean, you try that 1 year, within 2 months, your players are gonna get you fired. That's kind of the same thing nowadays. You can't go that hard. We grew up listening to all that, but if your whole point of preaching outside is bringing people the gospel, it's like that's not the way to do it. You're just gonna turn people away from you. When you go that hard now, people don't want to hear that. And there's a way to go about it. If you want to bring people into the church, invite them in, and then, tell them we believe this, we believe that. But I mean, don't go so hard so fast. It's really weird. And as far as going against the Catholic Church, you, my friend, would not exist without the Catholic Church. You are a subset of the Catholic Church. If it was one of those family trees, they would be the trunk and you would be a branch.
Yeah, you wouldn't even be a branch. You would be a branch of another branch of a leaf
and a twig of a...
And whatever the little things that crawl on it on there. That's what he would be. I agree with you 100%. Again, if you want to preach preach. That's your right, right? You have a right
Yeah,
to say
absolutely.
and express yourself however you want. It's called freedom of religion, correct?
Yeah.
Now, understand something. In that book, right, it says you are not to judge anyone, right?
Yes.
So what are you doing by saying, Miss Lightfoot, your lesbian relationship is wrong? What are you doing? That is a judgment.
100% judging.
So you're going to go to hell, quote unquote, how he said it, right? He also liked to use a bunch of verses. And I like to go to the Bible because the Bible says a lot of stuff, right? It says a lot of good things. It says a lot of bad things. Some people take it literal. Some people take it as a fictional book, right? Like any other. And that's fine. That's everybody's, perspective. So he went to Psalms 2, right? And it's basically talking about how the nations are going to come together against God, and that God laughs at the so-called leaders, that they think that they're over God, and God laughs at them and rebukes them and all this jazz, blah 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 blah. Cool. That does say that. I went in, I checked it, I checked his sources, I got it. Cool. Now, I can swing back and say, oh, guess what? In Romans 13, it says God appointed those leaders, so you have to obey them.
There it is.
That's what it says. I'm not making that up. It says it in the book. Now, here's my question. This is one of the things I have learned later in life. Who's right there? Because they both say contradicting things. And how do we go about finding out what's right? Which one is right?
It's hard, like you said. There's a bunch of, there's Catholic, and then there's subsets of the Christian faith, and everybody has their own way of dissecting the Bible. So it's
why doesn't
very
anybody
hard.
just read the Bible?
I mean, I guess you can read it.
Is it not a good
Obviously,
enough piece
but
of literature
no.
to just take on its own merits?
It's the way people interpret it. People interpret it in different ways. I mean, I can't say I read the Bible that much.
Why does it need
I
interpretation? That's a just random question. Why does the Bible need interpretation?
You would have to ask somebody that reads the Bible.
Okay,
a
but
lot.
you see the hesitation you just had
Yeah.
is the same one I had. Right? Because why does a book, who a lot of people say is perfect, right?
Mhm.
Quote unquote, we say it's perfect. Why does it need interpretation? Why does something that is written perfectly need someone else to explain it to me? Why can't I just read the word and know what it says and what it means? Because no other
Couldn't
piece
give
of
you an
literature
answer.
needs that.
I
Right?
wouldn't say no.
William
other one,
Shakespeare
but,
probably needs that. Probably. But then William Shakespeare, if you read it in a modern English book, you don't need a translation. Right?
Well, it's like, okay, what's that neighbor one? Love thy neighbor.
Love thy neighbor. That's interesting
Okay,
too.
so some people say, oh, they mean love your actual neighbor, the guy who lives next to you. Some people say love everyone, which is basically what it means. But I mean, it's open to some interpretation. That's just the way it is.
So then how-
there's plenty of verses
True.
like that.
So then if we grab that verse, how do we know which one's the right one?
Which interpretation?
Yeah.
I guess.
So how do you know?
up to you.
Okay, and then
I
again,
mean,
that's
it's
what
up to you.
that's what I think about the guy, and I'm like, how do you know what you're saying is the truth? Because according to the way I was brought up, you're wrong. You're gonna go to hell. But now he thinks the opposite, right? So now where do we go from there? And that's my point. My point is, if you're gonna preach, but preach generally. Right? Don't point at individual things when those individual things are just as probable as yours, or just as fake, if you want to say it, or just as real, or whatever. You guys are all the same. Like he made fun of Islam or the Muslims or whatever. When is Islam is just as probable, right, as Christianity. They hold the same weight. And I'm not even saying because they have similar stories and they mention Jesus. I'm talking about just in how the chances of it being real are the same. Like, it's the same percentage.
Yeah.
If it's 50% here, it's 50% here. And you know what else is, and as funny as this may sound, Bigfoot has the same probability as any of that. I mean, how many different, listen, how many gods do we have that we know of? There's Allah, Muhammad, there's Jesus, Jehovah, God, just God.
Are we
Kal-El? I mean,
isn't that,
what else? Everything. That's Superman,
Shiva?
By the way.
I know. Is Shiva a real thing? That's
Thor,
like an Indian god.
I mean, Thor's actually he's actually a god in some mythology.
You have what else? I don't know if Buddhism is actual. Yes. They have a god, but
Buddha's like the enlightened guy who spoke, and he's probably the most realistic one because
Confucius?
He was a real person. He was actually a real person. You know?
So is Jesus.
Prove it. Exactly. I rest my case. There is no way to prove it.
I will try to find a Facebook picture. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure you could find one. You can't do it. And that's
probably think of Jesus, your next door neighbor.
Okay, again, I'm not here to say this is fake or whatever. It's fine. People believe what they believe for whatever reason. That's fine. And I will still stick and stand behind it.
We're still friends.
No, absolutely. Right. He also talked about abortion. And we talked about that. And again, I leave people's opinions and their opinions are theirs. Right? But what he's doing is influencing something. And that's where I have a problem. This is where choice is key. Okay?
Yeah.
He's saying, and he said something in this way, kind of this way, that Prickster was more worried about opening an abortion clinic and closing churches. Okay? Those are two different things. Because an abortion clinic is a medical facility. A church is a church. Two different things. A medical facility and a church. Tell me why those two things should be on equal footing.
You know my stance on that.
No. But, forget about if you believe in abortion or not. We're comparing a medical facility and a church. How are those two things on equal footing?
They do cosmetic surgeries in medical places, and they're closed. You're not doing that now. And
sure, but those are not government. Those are not government funded. Hospitals are not closed.
Okay, but abortion is like.
So if someone needed, if somebody needed emergency. Emergency. Okay, wait. That's my point. If I remember you said, listen, you said something about remember you said that if she was raped, that would be a reason to have it. Okay, cool. Now let's say that was one of the reasons. That place should be open.
I'll agree with you there, but that's the only reason it should be open.
Okay, so if it should be open and we're in agreement that it should be open, then there is a huge difference between an abortion clinic and a church. There is a necessity for that to be open. Even if it's the smallest necessity, that's an actual necessity. What would be a necessity for a church to be open?
Oh, they got to collect offerings.
Make sure you pay that tithe. That's my issue with it.
The tithe is going to go to that guy's fine when Lightfoot finds him.
If you can do everything that you do in a church, right, behind a screen, if the government asks you to do that, then you should probably do that. You
should comply.
Yes.
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay. So comparing an abortion clinic to that, you don't know what you're talking about at that point. You're comparing apples to Coca-Cola. They're two different things.
Yeah.
You know, they're both food, I guess, but they're two different things. So I think he didn't know what he was talking about there. He also liked the whole murder thing. Again, It's a choice someone makes, and that's that person's choice. No one else's, period. Okay? Period. And what you think and you believe in shouldn't be forced onto anyone. And that's what that dude wants. Right? Whatever his belief is. If he thinks he should have it, that's fine. But that's your thought.
Yeah.
And for you to say, "Oh, you want to have an abortion, you're going to hell," you're wrong, buddy. You're totally wrong. You're probably going to go to hell for saying that person's going to go to hell.
I mean,
I hate to break it to
say
you.
do not judge.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
what else did this guy say? He had a bunch of stuff to say about, weird things. I tried to write some down when I was looking over it. Man, yeah. I remember he said he hears the cries of all the unborn kids that are being murdered in abortion clinics. And I wrote on his comment on that, I wrote that, did you also hear the cries of all the children that God ordered to be killed? Did you hear that?
yikes. Oh.
I don't know if you heard those. I'm pretty sure you probably should have, right? Because that's what it says in the Bible that happened, right? Then there's also there was other stuff I was gonna say.
Truth be told, there's parts of the Bible
that no one likes to
pastors
talk
don't
about.
preach
Yes,
on
yes.
because they're not painting the religion in a great light. I would say
Correct.
I mean,
Now,
but it's in there.
it's 100% in there. And I had this discussion with one of my friends. Not discussion. We were talking about it. She's actually very easy to talk to when it comes to religious things because she's a God follower. So, there's a lot of stuff in there that no one talks about. Like, people don't know it's there, right? I didn't know it's there. I think when I told you, you probably were like, I didn't know that was there either.
No, because I'm not a Bible reader per se, but I mean, what I do know is what the leaders in the church used to preach about, and that was not part of the
Sunday morning.
That wasn't a bullet point.
Escuela Dominical.
Yeah, no.
I'm pretty sure we didn't have too many classes on Exodus 21. And me saying that, probably most people wouldn't even know what Exodus 21 actually is about.
I don't know.
Okay. This is the one a lot of people like to use because it's the easiest one. So Exodus 21 are the rules about slavery. Okay. So there is a lot of slavery in the Bible, right? It says rules like slaves obey your masters, and even the cruel ones, and that you could beat your slave. You can beat your slave as long as they don't die within a couple days. It tells you how to punish them and treat them and blah blah, all this stuff. And how to keep them and kind of trick them to keeping them forever. How you can sell them as property. You can to buy them, where to buy them from, like to buy them from the heathens, like people like me out on the street.
Exactly.
That type of stuff. How to give them to your children as inheritance and stuff like that. Now, you're a human being just like I am.
Yeah.
Do you think that's correct? Do you think slavery is correct?
I'm assuming when you bring that up, people say, "Oh, that's the Old Testament."
Yes, they do.
No,
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Old Testament was
and I'm
like
okay
the
with
Wild
people
West. It was craziness.
Sure.
Obviously, I don't agree with that.
Actually, the best thing people say is that, oh, that's in the Old Testament and Jesus fulfilled the law. That's what people like to say, right? So I go and I say, okay, I'll give you an example of what you just said. So if a police officer pulls you over for speeding, right, and gives you a ticket, he upheld the law, right? He fulfilled the law because you broke it. He gave you a ticket, correct?
Yeah.
Does that mean going forward, you can drive as fast as you fucking want?
No.
No. Plus, in the New Testament, I don't remember where it is, but I know it's there. Jesus said he wasn't here to change the law at all. So, obviously, the laws in the Old Testament, all of them are still in play. And if you want to say to me, no, that's in the Old Testament. Okay, cool. Then I don't have to honor thy mother, thy father. I don't have to worry about committing adultery. I don't have to worry about... No, those are the 10 commandments. Those are more important. No, I'm sorry. Make up your fucking mind.
See, that's the thing. Once again, people gravitate to certain things in the Bible. They leave out certain things in the Bible. It's not like 100%. I mean, there's no unanimous thing when it comes to Christianity.
When it should be.
I mean,
that's the problem. It should be. Islam is more together than Christianity. They're more accurate. Okay, there's only two. There's only two, if you want to call them denominations, quote unquote. There's only two. One that believe in the original Muhammad and his, I think it was his son, and if he was the person that was supposed to continue on, or that the people wanted someone else, or something like that. So there's two denominations. That's it. Christianity? How many?
I ran out of coffee. I don't know.
Shit. I mean, there's North, East, West, South, Baptist, Christian, Pentecostal, Catholic, Southwest, East, West, Northwest Church. There's a bunch of them. Every corner there's one.
Mita.
And they're all different.
Mita, have you ever heard?
Whatever. New life, old life.
Mormon? No, that's a whole different thing, right? There's so much. I mean, yeah, it's hard. But like I said, for him to be
going after people?
Going after Catholic people, that's odd because you would not exist without Catholic
Correct.
people.
He would be Catholic if we didn't separate from Britain when the United States formed.
Sure, it's like
that's one of the reasons why we separated from them.
When you were born is what you're gonna have affinity towards. If I myself was born Muslim,
you'd be a Muslim right now.
I'd be Muslim, and if I were not religious, and I went to gravitate towards something, I'm not gonna go to Christianity or Buddha. I'm gonna go back to what I know, Muslim.
Sure,
you know what I'm saying?
And okay, and a lot of people think I have an issue against religion. I don't have an issue.
Feel like you do.
I don't have an issue against religion. If you believe in something, whatever it is, and I listen how I say religion, right? Because I don't penalize Christianity more than I penalize everybody. They're all the same to me. Everything's the same. Okay, religion in itself. If you believe in something that makes you a better person, go for it. I'm down for that. I'm all about that, right? The reason I am how I am is because I think this makes me a better person. Okay? Because I grew up religious, right? And I feel, and it's funny because don't you always hear it the other way around? You say, no, I was in the world and I was drinking and I was partying and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Oh, but then I found God and my life was so much better. You hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Why is it that I'm the only person that I know? Well, no, I'm not the only person. I feel the opposite. I felt when I was in religion, if I was in a Tupperware, I had the lid on. Right? I couldn't be me. Right? Even when I was a kid, I was questioning a lot of stuff.
Very repressed as children.
You know?
Growing up in that church.
I couldn't be me. So when I left religion, right? I found out a lot of things, right? Because I started getting information, asking questions, which a lot of people we're taught not to ask. We're taught not to ask these questions. Maybe not directly, but subliminally we're not taught. We're taught to freaking not ask these questions. Right? Like I know you remember, and like let's say you were watching, not watching. Let's say, how do I use this? Like it would say something like, "Oh, no juegue con eso." Like you know, like don't play with that. Like the Ouija board or something. Yeah. Oh, don't play around with that because that's, right? But we were never able to ask why. And if they did answer that, then show me why.
Mm.
Then everybody hits a brick wall. So I remember your sister, long time ago, and this resonates with me, man. A long time ago, your sister, I think it was in your mom's class, right? I don't know if you were there. You were a heathen before I was. We were in Sunday school, and I was obviously I'm younger than you, and your sister's older than you, so I was really young. And we were in Yolanda's class, and Janice said something like this. Don't quote me on this. It's how do you know God is there? Because when I'm talking to you, I'm like blah 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 blah, and you're blah 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 blah.
Answer back. Yeah.
Versus when you pray, it's like blah 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 to this helmet, and I didn't get a blah 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 back. That resonated with me, man. To this day, I remember that day like yesterday.
So who was it? Janice?
Janice.
So there you go, Janice. You're the reason he's out of here. Yeah,
that's not true.
It's a faith-based religion.
What is faith?
That's what they say. You got to have faith.
What is that?
Belief in something that
is that like the
happened, or
is that like the star from Mario, and you get it for a little while, and then you're invincible.
Little fireballs. I don't. It's belief in something that you can't see, feel, touch. Yeah, I mean that's what we were taught. Like, just have faith, right?
Yeah, that's what we were taught. And then later on, I learned for myself that faith is the excuse people put when they can't prove something, or there's no evidence for something. Because I can have faith in a lot of things. Right?
Yeah.
In anything.
Anything.
Doesn't make it real.
Faith, you're gonna win the lottery. Sure.
Probably not going to, but
yep.
But okay, so we're sidetracked again, obviously. This is a topic I like to talk about. Yeah, this guy, I hope
he went hard. He went hard.
And I hope he realizes, because I commented on it and then he kind of commented back, and I want to say he threw the white flag really quick with some of the things I told him. And I hope he realizes it's not me really insulting him, or, like, I just really felt if I was a Christian, he's representing the faith wrong. Right? I don't know how you would feel the same way.
I wouldn't go about it the way he was going about it. Like I said, if your whole point is to bring people into your church, it's not gonna happen going that hard. It's not gonna happen chastising people and condemning people. It's not gonna happen. And that's the church that I think my cousin went to, where they told him to come into the front. They told all the visitors, the first timers, to come into the front, and they like kind of forced them to talk in tongues. They're just like, let it go. Come on, let it out. Don't repress it. And
my God.
My cousin's like, what do you want me to do?
Oh
my gosh. But yeah, those are the...
You know what's crazy? I don't know if you remember this. You remember when we were younger and there was this, I don't want to say this style at the time, but this fad, this trend of falling back. You remember this trend of falling back in when you would go out for prayer? Do you remember that? Right?
Yeah.
So like, here's the funny part. So I remember there was this guy who used to sit in the very last banca, and one time he was preaching, right? And for some reason I went up for prayer, and this guy is literally, he has his hand on my forehead and he's like pushing me back.
Push.
And I'm like, does he keep tally of how many people fall on the floor? Is this what this is?
If you didn't fall, it was a failure for him.
Yeah.
Like, I've gotten that too. And I actually contemplated. And I wonder if other people did this. When they're pushing up on your forehead, you're like, should I just fall?
Yeah.
And act like I'm sleeping?
That's the thing.
Like I just got stone cold stunned or something. RKO'd.
Hey, do you remember there was a little kid one time. He went up to prayer the same way.
Yeah.
And then they prayed for him. And then he like sat down and laid down. Wanted to fall back. And I'm like, okay, so I get it. Do people do it? there's where my question is: are people just doing it because this is what they see? Because a lot of people, that's what happens. We do what we see.
I mean,
if somebody starts running around screaming, random whatever language words, I mean, a lot of people are gonna fall in track with that.
You would have to ask the people that it's happened to if it's genuine, and I'm sure they'll be honest with you. Some of them, yeah.
Okay, so again, I didn't want to insult the guy, even though I probably did, and I apologize for that if he took anything that I said in that little comment section offensively. Again, I just felt like he was being a little too out of pocket with what he was trying to say. It was like that dude I showed you. Did I show you the Kenneth Copeland guy? That he's like a pastor of a mega church. Weird looking dude. Like he's over here saying, I rebuke COVID and blah 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 blah, and I blow and it's gone, and it's still here.
Still here.
But then he said,
you didn't have
make sure you
That's
send your ofrenda and your diezmo and your tithe. Make sure you send it in. Don't stop tithing, even though you got to stay at home, because guess where that money goes? In his pocket. But whatever. I digress on that.
You love that word.
I do.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
Stop that prosperity based shit too. Don't do that no more. Fucking hate it. I got news for y'all. If you decide to become a Christian, chances are it's gonna be a hard life. It's not gonna be all roses and this and that. Yeah, my dad was Christian most of his life, and he always asked, he was always tapping his coffee glass and saying, oh, if I had $100,000. And he would do that almost every morning, and it was weird, but he never got that $100,000. I mean, we were doing pretty well, but he never got that money. So, I mean, it's not just, oh, I believe in God, I give the church money, and I get back 10 times the amount. So don't get yourself bullshitted, because that's bullshit. It's not the truth.
That's true.
You'd be surprised how many people believe it.
Yeah. That's kind of, I don't want to say, again, I can't say it's sad, because there's religions for everything, man. I mean, there's a religion literally, and you may think I'm joking, you can look this up. There is literally a religion that believes that Keanu Reeves is going to save us all because he is the one. Literally, it's a religion. It's a religion based on the Matrix, and people actually do that shit.
How do I join? Do I take a blue pill, red pill?
A red pill. You got to make up your mind. Pick one. But even that makes more sense. But we'll go somewhere else. Okay, so I think we touched enough on that. I want to touch on a topic just for a few minutes. In this particular time, right? When we're in quarantine or whatever.
It's horrible.
Do you think you need to have a firearm? Do you feel the need to have a firearm?
Do I feel the need where I live?
Or are you gonna put up? Are you gonna put up your Python and said, "This is all the firepower I need"?
Brother, get out of here! I was about to do my Macho Man, but I know you.
No, please, God.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
It's great.
That sounds horrible, man. Jeez.
Not where I live, but I mean, if I was living in the middle of Inglewood, you're damn skippy. I'd have a firearm and an AR-15 too.
Inglewood's not really the same place anymore, but okay, cool. The reason I ask, I've gotten into debates over the Second Amendment and what it means, and do people really, really need guns right now, right? How do I put this? I don't think you necessarily need a gun, right? Because, okay, so let's go. What would be the necessity of a gun?
In an urban area to protect yourself from I don't know.
In
Home
what
invaders.
situation? Okay, home invaders. Let's go with that because that's probably the most logical one, right? Cool. So let's think of let's paint a scenario. 2 a.m. Everybody's asleep. Somebody breaks into your house. Right? Now let's assume your situation. You have 3 kids and a wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming you don't have your gun sitting on the dresser, right? Loaded and ready to go.
God, no. It's in a lockbox.
So it would be in a lockbox somewhere where your kids probably won't find it. So it's probably not in the most accessible place right now.
No.
Right? Somebody breaks into your house. What are you going to do? Do you think you have enough time to say, hey, buddy, give me 5 minutes real quick. Let me go get my gun. Let me let me chamber around and I'll be right back. Just give me a minute. Stay right there. That's not how shit works. Right?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay. So at that point, that gun is useless to you. Right?
Yeah, you'd be on your cell phone calling the cops before you use
and then
the gun.
You also have to think, how are you actually going to react to the event? Because a lot of us can say, oh, I'm a man. I'm going to react this way.
Yeah.
That's not how shit works.
That's how it works with me.
No, my friend. When you are in a different position, when you're panicked, everything you thought about or you thought you were going to do flied out the fucking window.
I don't get panicked, but
yeah, you do.
I mean, most people do. Yeah, that'd be kind of
You know how I know you panicked? You know how I know you panicked?
How?
I got a story for you. So one time, you, me, and your sister, Xiomara, we went to go play tennis at this park that's pretty much in the hood, kind of, right? And it's tennis courts here are in a cage, right? So all of a sudden, we're playing tennis. All of a sudden, a bunch of shots ring out.
Yeah.
Right? And then I didn't panic because the first thing I did was throw myself on the floor because that makes more sense, right? Because I'm not a moving target.
Didn't I do that too?
No, you and your sister started running around in a circle because you guys were in a cage looking like freaking Curly and freaking Larry running around in circles.
I think we were still playing. That's
Jeez Louise. They were panicked so bad. And I'm just like, what are you guys
about
doing?
Tennis life.
Throw yourself on the floor.
What's happening? I'm
my
playing
God.
tennis.
Yeah, so don't tell me you don't panic. You panic.
I don't.
Okay, whatever. People panic. That's what happens, right?
Yeah.
We can all say whatever. But unless you are a trained person who's lived through this stuff, 90% of the time, you're not going to react the way you think you're going to react.
You're going to end up like that legless runner from South Africa who shot his girlfriend thinking it was... yeah.
Oh, wasn't that the one the Chris Rock said the story about?
Petrie, whatever his name.
That
Petrie.
He was like, what did he say? He said something like oh, you know that girl must talk to her girlfriend and thought about it. Like, I mean, yeah, you should go out with him. It's not like he gonna kill you.
Yeah.
He's got no legs. He's not gonna kill you. Whatever. Yeah, he killed her.
Wait, Petrie's the dinosaur from the
I don't know. Whatever. So again, we're not gonna react the way we think we're gonna react. Now, the only situation where I feel like yes, it plays a card is if you're carrying it. If you have concealed carry, right, and you're walking down the street and somebody starts some shit with you, you have it there ready to go. That's a different story.
Yeah.
When it's stored away in your home, it's not ready for that. You're not ready for that.
Unless you train. But if
even
not,
then,
I wouldn't.
How long does it take? Again, no, the thief doesn't warn you when he's coming.
No.
That's the crazy part. Like, is it it does you no good having it for that particular purpose of saying, I'm going to protect my family in that way. Because you're not even going to have time to get it to protect your family.
I mean, I ain't tripping about people having a handgun. AR-15, a grenade launcher in the city.
That's
I don't think you need that. Huh?
I don't think you need anything but a handgun. That's it. I think that should be
across the country.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's.
I mean, you think about it.
Farmers in Texas killing boars, eating their plants and shit.
I mean, think about it. If
they need AR-15s,
it's just okay. So that was one of the first things that I ran into because I had this conversation with one of my friends. Oh, not a conversation, but I mentioned this about it. The other thing was I had this debate with my cousin, and he's a big First Amendment guy. I mean, Second Amendment guy.
Yeah.
Right? The right to bear arms. His idea is about the government, right? So if the government chose to overtake us, we need to have guns so we can protect ourselves. Right? Or if there's a war, we need to be able to protect ourselves.
A war, yeah.
Okay. When was the last war on American soil? It was the North against the South.
War, yeah.
And it was us against us. Right? So we haven't had a war since the Civil War. Right? Let alone anyone else coming over here to fuck around with us. Because I don't think anybody's that fucking dumb. I don't think anybody really can, to be honest. First of all, then we don't even fight wars like that. We don't ride up in ships at a beach with bayonets and muskets on horseback. We don't do that.
Cool if we did, though.
We freaking fly planes and drop atomic bombs.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
So what are you going to do?
If you're trying to fight the government, I'll tell you what's going to happen. You're going to barricade yourself in your house, and they're going to drop a Scud missile right on the motherfucker. It's going to go right through your chimney. That's how precise
done and
it
over
is.
with.
It's going to blow up you and your family.
You're not going to win that fight.
That's an idiotic excuse for having a gun. I mean, protecting yourself, yeah, from people, a robber, yeah. The government's not going to.
I mean, even if the government was to hostile takeover, whatever, you are not going to do anything. You are going to die. Period. You might take one or two soldiers with you, but you're not going to win. You're not going to deter anything. You're going to fucking die. That's what's going to happen, literally. Right? So, I feel like I got a package upstairs. Huh? That was my doorbell.
Oh,
what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Okay, so
guns,
also
yay, nay.
The Second
Your
Amendment.
thoughts.
The Second Amendment.
Yeah.
The right to bear arms. I think it's an important right. You should be able to, if it's there, you should be able to buy a gun. I have no problem with that. I think the government should limit what kind of guns we should buy, obviously, right? We shouldn't have anything major for what. But people mistake that and run with it. Like, you got to realize when this shit was written, right? That's part of the Bill of Rights, which was written when the 13 colonies were established.
17 something.
Sure. Why was that written in there is the question you should ask, right? For me, was put in there probably because the United States had just separated from Britain and ventured off on their own. They were probably afraid that Britain would come back and try to take them back or take over take whatever land they have from them. Right. So it would make sense because at the time, 13 colonies, you probably didn't have a big army to arm all your civilians to protect the 13 colonies. That makes sense. Right.
Yeah.
Are we still in 13 colonies right now?
No. I would have been worried about a bear crawling through my back window.
I would have been more worried about fucking Pocahontas shooting a fucking arrow at me, but that's just me. We took all this land from the Indians, but whatever. I digress.
Did you see my arrow coming with the blue corn?
You're a fucking idiot. No. Yeah. Again, it was written at a time for that time.
They
right?
ain't gonna take it out. You know that's not.
I don't know. They're not gonna take it out because too many people like it. Too many people want to have it. And I'm not saying they should take it out. I think the government should govern and limit what we can buy.
They tried it. There'd be another. It'd be Civil War Part 2. For sure. 100%.
I don't know.
Yeah. I
just feel like we got to stop exaggerating on certain things. Like the government's not going to come and impose its will on you. It's not going to happen. That's not how shit works.
Financially.
I mean, in the history of the United States, that has never happened. And you think it's going to happen in your lifetime. And what's an example of that? What? Because we're in quarantine right now or you know,
you can still go out. You can. Nobody's.
And even if they put us,
even if they put
us in what's the word? In martial law. Even if they put martial law, you still have you lose a lot of rights. Don't get me wrong, but it's a necessity that needs to be done, right? That's why it's never been put into play, because we've never gotten to that point.
Yeah.
And it's not going to. People think it does, and people just like to run with this conspiracy shit.
This would be a perfect opportunity to go into martial law right now.
Yeah.
So if they're not going to do it now, they're not going to ever do it.
Right. I don't know. I think you should be able to own a firearm if you want to. That's fine. But I would say it should be said as it is. Like, I want it because I want it, not necessarily because I want to protect my family.
I want it to show off.
Because it's, I mean, how are you protecting your family by buying a gun?
I mean,
exactly.
We don't live in a bad neighborhood.
Exactly.
So
and you're probably, even if you remotely pulled out your gun in time, you're probably going to miss. I mean, look at 90% of the shootings in Chicago. They don't even hit where they're looking at.
Oh, when you're holding it like this.
Dude, I kid you not. I saw a video of a shooting on Grand and like Harlemish. And the guy was, so we're about almost a little bit less than a car roof separate, right? So the gun in the video, the guy has the gun like this on the hood on the roof of the car, right? And he still missed.
Yeah.
This close. He still missed.
That's pretty rough.
But whatever. Again, I just feel like it's something that's not necessary. I think a lot of people get it. And I think it can cause problems. I mean, imagine if your kids get that.
It's happened before.
I mean,
if
my father would have had a gun, I would have found it.
I would shot yourself.
Yeah, I would have been that person because I'm really good at finding everything. And again, I'm not saying don't buy a gun. Do what the hell you want to fucking do. Whatever you think is right, do it. This is my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. Any final thoughts, John, or Hulk Hogan, or Macho Man Randy Savage? There?
You don't want me to do it again, do you? No, I'm not gonna do it. No, I'm good. Yeah, no prosperity. You're Christian. You're gonna be good for the rest of your life. Bullshit. It's bullshit.
It is. Okay. This was more my show because I saw this and I wanted to share it and give my opinion because that's what this show is all about. Now, you may not agree with it. And if you don't, I got 3 words for you. Thanks for listening.